Good morning and welcome to the Hawaii State Senate Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection. It's Tuesday, March 18th, 2025, and we are on our 9:30 a.m. joint committee hearing agenda between our colleagues from the Senate Public Safety and Military Affairs Committee and CPN. As PSM is the lead on this measure, I'll yield to Chair Elefante.
Okay, thank you so much, Chair Keohokolole. Just a few housekeeping announcements. Limit for testifiers is 1 minute. In the event of a technical failure, we will reconvene in conference room 225 on Friday, March 20th at 3:00 p.m. With that being said, we do have a 1 minute limit on testifiers. We just have one item on our agenda, and this meeting is being streamed live on the Hawaii State Senate's YouTube channel. Our only item on our agenda today is House Bill 472, House Draft 1. This is relating to digital identification. This requires digitalized identification cards to be accepted as a valid form of identification under certain conditions, authorizes state and county law enforcement agencies to accept a digitalized identification card as proof of a person's identity. And first, on our list of testifiers, Director Ed Sniffen from the Department of Transportation on Zoom.
Not available online, Chair.
Okay, and then we have Jacob Weinsek, individual in support. That completes our list of registered testifiers. Anyone else that wishes to testify on House Bill 472, House Draft 1? Okay, members, there's no one to ask questions with. Ready to roll into decision making, if you're okay with that, Co-Chair?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so recommendation is to pass with amendments. On page 1, line 7, we're going to change the word shall to may. On page 2, line 11, we're going to insert a date of July 1st, 2027. And then we're going to add a different effective date of July 1st, 2077. Any further discussion? If not, Acting Vice Chair Rhodes for the vote. Chair votes aye.
On HB 472, recommendation is passed with amendments. Chair Elefante votes aye. Vice Chair Wakai is excused. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Senator DeCourt.
Aye.
Recommendations adopted.
Thank you, CPN. Same recommendation. Any discussion? Okay, if not, passing with amendments, Chair votes aye.
Thank you. Vice Chair also votes aye. Senator McKelvey?
Yes.
Senator Richards is excused. Senator Awa is also excused. Measure is adopted.
This concludes our joint hearing. We're adjourned.
Good morning and welcome to the Hawaii State Senate Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection. It's Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. This is our 9:30 a.m. joint committee hearing agenda with our colleagues from the Senate Housing Committee to consider two measures. The first is House Bill 1097 HD1. Just to note, this meeting is being streamed live on YouTube, and in the unlikely event that we need to abruptly end this hearing due to technical difficulties, we will reconvene to address any outstanding business on Wednesday, March 19th at 10:01 a.m. in this room, conference room 229, and a notice will be posted on the legislature's website. This is a 90-minute hearing slot. As such, we need, our committee observes a 2-minute testimony time limit. If you've submitted written testimony, we have reviewed it. And you are free during your time to clarify or emphasize your written remarks within your time. But we'd encourage you not to read your testimony in its entirety verbatim because we've already reviewed and read it. Okay, again, first measure is HB 1097 HD1 relating to public housing evictions. This measure reduces the time the Hawaii Public Housing Authority is required to store unclaimed personal effects of a tenant evicted from public housing. First up, we have the Hawaii Public Housing Authority in support.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee,
Thank you very much. Kevin Carney in support. Raylene Teno in support. Kayla Marie in opposition. Jennifer Lum in opposition. and late testimony from Natalie Graham Wood in opposition. Is there anyone else who would like to testify on this measure? Members, any questions?
Yep.
Senator Favela.
I understand, you're supporting this bill, but my concern with this bill is that giving them 14 days, when they get evicted or whatever the circumstances come for leaving their home, is only gonna add to the problem that we have on the streets right now. You're gonna force them to move out, not you, don't take it personally. But then we're not gonna be able to, I mean, I understand the storage thing is an issue because there's a lot of, my question is is that the reason why you're supporting it? Because of the, holding the things for 30 days? Instead of 30 days, you put it 14 days?
Thank you, Senator. That's one of the reasons. The other is we have to keep that unit not touched for 30 days while other people are on the wait list waiting for us to go fix it up so they can have housing. And also from past experience, what's being left is usually what they don't want and it stays there. Or we found garbage and other things. If you leave it for an extended period of time, it creates some other health and all of that. We're okay with whatever the decision is. We just feel that when somebody's, before they even evicted, they're allowed actually a few months of going to the eviction by the eviction board, not the court, by the eviction board. The eviction board has one tenant as a requirement. And before that, they have the right to grieve. So there is a process that takes a long
So
time.
it's more, actually, the process is more than 30 days.
Yeah, the process takes much longer before they get evicted. The exception that we expedite is if it's a crime like violence or something like that. But for rent, first we take a long time before we even send that notice, and then they have right, as I said, to grieve and have an informal meeting, then a formal meeting, then the eviction process, and then after that they are evicted.
So what is the timeline to a regular non-violent procedure? What would be the timeline?
For non-rental, probably take at least 6 months before they are evicted, because we don't, just because they didn't pay the first month, we don't just go ahead. We'll send them a violation and wait again, and then wait again. Then you go through the process. But once they evicted, from experience, there's nothing of value that they leave. It's just the unit stays untouched while other people are sitting there.
So you guys don't remove the items and store them like
No,
how you
we
guys
have
do
no-
with the houseless community?
We don't have storage. Yes, we don't have storage where we can take that. And also to take all of that, for example, a lot of it is reasonably garbage that we can throw away, but other stuff, we don't have facility, and then we have to incur costs. And these, most of our properties are federally funded properties. We don't have the funding for that.
So
That's the only reason.
with an average, about how much evictions you guys are doing in a quarter?
I can provide that information for you. It's not many.
Yeah.
It's not.
The only reason why I'm saying, I mean, I understand you're saying that a lot of that is rubbish or whatever, but sometimes even though they had 6 months or whatever months to find a relocation, most of our families going to end up, and then this is just my input, they're going to end up on the beach.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have more situations with that. I understand the situation that you guys have. Somebody need to be in the home, and it's a priority for you guys. But then the circumstances of having them scramble whatever time you give them to be to vacate the property and to find some place that they can live, having some issues with the rent, to finding a new location to live, that's going to be an issue. And I think, and I'm not blaming you for how homeless crisis, I'm blaming the vendors, but the bottom line is that this is just going to add to the burden of our families being on the street. I mean, that's just my input.
No, I understand, Senator. The only motivation we have is that we can get that unit at least 2 weeks earlier for somebody also sleeping in the street that's been waiting for that place to call home. So that's our only motivation. Nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
I have a follow-up question. What's the size of the wait list at this point?
We stopped taking names. Anytime we open the wait list, there's about 10,000 families or so that apply
You stop taking names.
because we don't have
How long do you, I mean, how many names do you hold on it before you stop?
So what we've been doing now, initially we used to keep it open and we had over 30,000 families and every family averaged about 3.5. So over 100,000 people waiting. So instead of having them wait for 10, 15 years, now we open the wait list about 10,000. Then we do a lottery. And from the lottery, we do about 1,500 to 2,000 families that we keep on the wait list in hope that we can serve them within 3 years, 4 years before we reopen it. At any given year, we have 400 to 500 units that become available.
So you hold the wait list at 2,000 to 3,000?
Yeah, we try to keep
Below
it at,
3,000.
yes,
And you do about 500 a year.
yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to our next measure, which is HB 1325, HB3 relating to housing, requires developers developing an affordable housing project under HHFDC to assist certain tenants who are subject to displacement or eviction by the proposed project by granting those tenants the right of first refusal of a comparable unit in the housing project at an affordable rate, or establishing a fund to provide relocation benefits and offer assistance, providing information either directly or through a contracted service on how to obtain assistance and exercise the right of first refusal, and establishing procedures to track and maintain communication with those tenants, establishes consequences for a developer's non-compliance. In the interest of time, I'll just be reading out those who have signed up to testify. If your name is not called, you can just sign up. You can indicate your willingness to testify afterwards. First, we have HHFDC in support. Yes.
Chair, Vice Chairs, members, Dean Minakami, Hawaii Housing Finance Development Corporation. We stand our testimony in support, but also want to note that we would support an amendment that would require both relocation assistance and a right of first refusal in the new project, so long as there's no requirement that the rate must be the same as the prior unit. And that's because there's no way that we would know what the rate was based on for the previous unit. Might have been a smaller unit, older unit, but a special arrangement with the tenant.
Thank you. Tagnawa for Maui in support. Medical Legal Partnership for Children in Hawaii in support.
Aloha, my kako Chair Ke'ohokalole and Chair Chang. My name is Deja Ostrowski. I'm an attorney with the Medical Legal Partnership, and we've provided direct legal services to tenants at the Kalihi Park, Kuyo Park Terrace, as well as just general folks in our community who are facing evictions and housing challenges. We're in strong support of this bill, along with amendments that HHFDC discussed. And I'm going to try to talk about my testimony because it's very complex to talk about how does this apply to public housing projects and how does this apply to all of them. So we've seen how the public housing redevelopment at KPT, it's layers of financing. It's a federal demolition of public housing, as well as HHFDC 201H, as well as low-income housing tax credits or LIHTC. Each of those programs has its own rules about what you have to provide for tenants. Because it's a federal demolition of public housing turning into public, there is relocation assistance that's required. However, if that relocation assistance goes wrong, which I think you're going to hear about, there has not been enforcement mechanisms. This bill plugs that hole. It creates enforcement mechanisms at a state level. It also creates the right to return, which is most important. So we're asking for amendment to have both, to give the tenants a preference to return to the community that you've moved them from. I'm available for any questions to talk about the complex layers, but I will just keep my things short to say what's really complex. Please look at how this applies to projects that use layers of funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Hawaii Appleseed Center for Law and Economic Justice and Support. Thank you. Kokua Kalihi Valley CFS in support.
Aloha, Chair. Am I on Zoom?
Please go ahead.
Aloha, my name is Jesse Libman. I'm with Kokua Kalihi Valley. Thank you for taking my testimony, Chair and committee members. In strong support of the bill, I've been working with the community here for several years through the redevelopment process.
And we know this is the first of several large redevelopments of public housing throughout Oahu and perhaps the state. And seeing a lot of our neighbors, our coworkers, our friends displaced, stressed out, having a really hard time with what's happening. So we just want to make sure that this bill provides the maximum amount of support for people from the community so they can return, so communities can stay resilient and unified, and people aren't displaced, to create affordable housing that brings other people into the community and contributes to the homeless crisis. So thank you for this bill. We stand in strong support.
Thank you. Hawaii Workers Center in support.
Morning, Chair, Vice Chair. Sergio Alcabilio. I'm Executive Director of the Hawaii Worker Center. We stand in support of this bill, mainly for two reasons. First, our office is located at KPT, or as they rebranded, the Towers of Kuhio Park. And, some of our staff members, some of their families are there, and, they're still trying to figure out what to do for their family members. One of the big issues that we've seen is some of the folks that do require ADA accommodations, they're being sent to places, and you'll hear from a lot of the tenants themselves, they're being sent to places that's on the second floor. Whereas here at KPT, they're on the first floor because they have, ADA requirements. So I feel like that's a lawsuit waiting to happen itself. And second, we also organize tenants with the Maui Tenants and Workers Association. So this is something that's an important issue to them, considering kind of just the limited housing supply there on Maui in itself. So for those two reasons, those are the primary reasons we want to support. And we want to support, of course, the tenants here that are going to be sharing their stories, and for the organizing work that Medical Legal Partnership is doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Rona Mangayam in support.
Aloha, chairs and member of the committee. My name is Rona Mangayam, the Youth Services Director of Kukua Kalihi Valley. We work directly with youth and children. Some of them are living at low-rise, KPT, and some of them are already affected by the redevelopment plan. I'm bringing some of the voices of our youth. Some have to move to other places already in Halava and have to take a bus at 5 o'clock in the morning just to be able to attend the school on time in Kalihi. One said, I don't even know where I come from now. Am I from Halava or am I from Kalihi? I lost a sense of identity. Others went, I don't know why we need to leave. This is our home for us. So it's not just a space or a building to live, but it is a home for love and safety, and laughter and cries are being shared in their families. Our youth are experiencing so much uncertainty, and being able to have this bill to help them, give them an assurance that they will be able to return to their home where they found safety is a great assurance for them and help them in this time of uncertainty. Also, the questions is that, are we coming back? This is the question that they've kept asking. So I believe that passing this bill will help answer that question, and I hope that you will listen to their voices and answer their questions by passing this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you. NIOP Hawaii chapter in opposition.
Chair, we found our testimony.
Thank you. Dina Sheck in support.
Good morning, chairs. My name is Dina Sheck, and I want to thank you for hearing HB 1325. I'll read this really quickly. This bill is about enforcement and accountability to Hawaii residents to prevent the displacement of families facing redevelopment in the name of affordable housing. You need only scroll through and listen today to testimony for this bill from people impacted by the devastating Maui wildfires, and also residents impacted by the KPT low-rise redevelopment that's going on right now, pleading for adequate relocation services and a meaningful right to return. This bill provides enforcement measures. That's what's different about this bill, right? It provides the enforcement measures for when tenants are, as we've seen, sent to uninhabitable units, when families caring for disabled elders are sent to inaccessible walk-ups repeatedly, as we've seen, and when families with children with serious disabilities are offered units that are far outside of their home school districts and their medical home providers. It's especially glaring in a place like Kalihi and the residents that's happening in the current redevelopment. Primarily, this bill seeks to ensure a meaningful right to return, and as such, I urge you to change the "or" to an "and," which I'm very pleased has a lot of support today, so that residents, and especially our public housing residents facing displacement, are not simply bought out of their right to return, because that's what I fear could happen if we keep it as an "or." Instead, they should be given robust moving and relocation assistance and offered the right to return. Not everyone will come back, but it's a right that needs to be preserved. The governor is currently planning to demolish, I was going to say 1,187 public housing units to build 10,000 units. This is a very important project for the state. And it also includes things like Mayor Right housing is going to turn into 18 to 28 story housing. The least we can do is to ensure the right to return for all of these residents. Thank you for your consideration and this bill that hopefully will prevent further displacement of local families. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. That's everyone that we have signed up to testify. Is there anyone else wishing to testify in person?
So if there are several of you, why don't you come up together? So as people come up, just fill the seats so you guys can take turns. And that way you're not up here by yourself. Yeah.
I hope I timed this correctly. So good morning, Senate committee members. My name is Donna Eileen Willits. I'm a tenant and longtime resident of Kuhio Homes. In the span of 5 months, I have witnessed families struggle as they search for clarity. The plans we thought would have taken place turned out to be confusing, unorganized, and careless. Our own housing office was not aware of the redevelopment, only by word of mouth. The 90-day notice was far from promising. None of what the letter entailed were ever offered. Instead, we received options that were far from our district, units that were dilapidated, or decent units, only it was smaller than what we currently have. So I'm just one voice, a part of the Phase 1 project. During our peaceful protest, I've spoken to a lot of our tenants, and they came up to us with their concerns, and they shared with us. Some said they were being moved to the towers in KPT, but they don't trust TMO. One of them said they're battling cancer and that the project added to their depleting health. A neighbor of mine recently passed before she was able to see her new place, and in her last words, she wanted comfort knowing that her grandchildren will be well looked after. This is destroying families. We look out for each other, we respect each other, and we thrive as one. I just hope there will be more meetings for the community than individual family meetings where there are things that were kept in the dark. This is what's destroying our community. But thank you for this opportunity, for allowing me to share my testimony.
So before you get started, whoever's next, you can just come up and take the seat so that we always have 2 people in the chair.
Like roll call.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lesieli Laloulu. I have been a tenant at Kuhio Park Terrace Homes for many years, over about 30 years with my parents being there, and we've been there since until this relocation redevelopment that happened with Michael's and the housing. My main concern is, I do support this bill, first of all, is comparable, because it is stated on the letters many, many times that where they will place us will be comparable to what unit that we were living at the time. I had moved out. I have one of those tenants that had moved out. I think I was one of the first few families that had moved out. But I'm still here to be a voice for our community and our elders, our disabled, our youth, our children. I am not a person smart enough to speak in front of you, but I do believe that our voices, hopefully you folks will hear us. All we're asking for is somewhere comparable to our elders and our disabled, especially because they're the ones who are really affected with this. There was a unit that I know that they had sent someone to, and they said that the paint, there's lead on the paint, but this family has a child. And when we went to see our office in KBT, the first choice was you take that unit or Section 8 or evicted. And that was it. And I even brought up, but there's lead there. How is that possible? I'm sure you have a family too. You wouldn't want that to happen to your own child too. Thank you very much for hearing our voices. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Salu. I live in KPT for so long, like 40 years. All my kids are born there and they are grown. But I know like move out, I'm scared. I usually live where I stay. I love my neighbors and I love where I live. Please just come and fix what is wrong. The buildings are so strong. Thank you so much for hearing my voice.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Senator and Chair and Vice Chair and all those who are willing to hear. So I'm gonna sing a song and I wrote this song.
Just state your name, please, for the record.
Oh, my name is Lenda Tomanico. There is no place to go. So I'm asking you stay. We are family. We are family. Watch our children grow. And our elders too. We development, would you take a look at all the faces that are surrounding you? Redevelopment, would you take a look at all the faces that are surrounding you? Because we are KPT family. Because we are KPT family. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you. Good morning.
Aloha, good morning. My name is Jude Talia. I'm also a longtime resident of KPT. You know, I went to a meeting this past Saturday, and I know time is of the essence, and it was a beautiful meeting, very local kind meeting, you know, so comfortable, speak your mind out. But when I look at all the plans that they got going for our island, it's kind of heartbroken. You cannot stop progress, but you can kind of help on how high they're trying to build these things in the heart of Kauai. That don't make sense to me. You're trying to save water, and they got these luxurious pools, these amenities, and half of them they're not even letting the residents use. That's kind of brokenhearted to me. And if anybody knows the wahine from Maui that did a commercial that said, it's not so much what you do, but it's with the heart that you do it, please introduce me to her. I love her. She instilled that so much in me to say that even though our country, America, has all these flaws in the situation, I'm so glad that I am under America. But there's one thing I want us all to remember, that even though we're a state, we are still an island within a state. Please, all these things that are taking place on our island, take it into consideration on how they're doing things. A lot of the taxpayers don't even know in the area of Kali, they're going to be losing parking. We get enough beefs going on in Kali. We don't need no more problems. So these are kind of things that I pray that all of you would take into consideration, as even though I may be older or same age as some of you here, like we say over and over, you're like our parents, our Aina, our Ohana. So please continue looking out for our best interests too, because maybe everybody who's not from Hawaii, great-grandfather, mother, sister, brother, born, raised here, and go back wherever. But I'm gonna be here till the day I die. This is my evening. I'm over here.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else wishing to testify on HB 1325? If not, any discussion or questions, members?
I guess I would ask for Dina Sheikh and maybe Hakim Wansafi to kind of come up and answer some questions. Oh. Okay, thank you. Good morning. With respect to this legislation, I know there has been a lot of coverage of a lot of the concerns being raised and some of the ongoing rallies, et cetera. I guess on HPHA's part and, with the supporters, what have you done with respect to Michael's? Because this seems like, something that could be rectified if we got everyone working together.
I think I'll defer to the chair. I know for us, we have talked to Michael since the very beginning, starting in August. And we told them, we offered us to be there. We said we'd work with tenants. We went to every single meeting that they had with tenants and kind of talked to them how the communication was not going well, that your contracted agency that you contracted to do this was not going well. And I feel like we were kind of saying this. We work with these folks and I felt we were portrayed as kind of rowdy people trying to stir up things instead of us saying we're talking to so many tenants, we're providing them advice. It's not going well. You're not communicating things correctly. I was at meetings where Michael straight told folks, we don't have to offer you the right to return, and we're not going to. That narrative quickly changed maybe around November, where they said, okay, we'll do it because it's the Pono thing, even though it's in the HHFDC low-income housing tax credit financing. The federal program doesn't require that right to return, but it is in the low-income housing tax credit financing. That's why we need this bill to make it clear. Now, I can see people saying it's already there. Why are you putting this in a bill? Well, maybe it's not in a low-income housing tax credit financing for another project that's in your district. If we're offering preferences for everyone, why can't we have that when it's not, when we've seen them say it over and over, we don't have to provide this. So I know it's, it's the contractors agencies, representatives from HPHA were at a meeting in November that went really bad. I think it's just hard for us to say we're bringing up the concerns. What more can we do to put enforcement? That's why this bill is important, because it says you can pull funding if you hear that things are not going well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for the question. And thank you for everyone. So there's a lot of things I can't specifically address because of tenant confidentiality at the advice of the AG, but I can tell you certain things. Whenever we hear an issue, we do contact the developer and work with them and to correct it. And most parts, it was corrected. As of today, about 58% selected the Section 8 and others. Just backing up. For all of the tenant, and that's 60 families for phase one that affected by the relocation, they were given 3 different choices depending on availability. One that they can take at any given time is tenant protection voucher. So nobody's sent to a unit, but they have the right to choose any unit, in fact, in the country, not just in here. And the company that's been hired to facilitate this and meet, they've done this relocations many times, and that's all they do for a living on that. So no one, for example, that we have documented as a disability will go to a place that it's not. It's just, it doesn't happen. If we don't have a record of it, that is a possibility. The right of return, as eloquently said, the federal government and the PPT is a federal property, does not require it. However, we made it a requirement on the developer in writing to do that, and something that we stick with. We want to do this, but I think one of the biggest issues, relocation is difficult for everyone, and it is really difficult, and nobody wants to leave where they've been living for years. But we also look at our Ohana, our family at KPT, but we all have the state of Hawaii as Ohana as well. Those people that have to leave Hawaii because they don't have a place. That's why we have to do redevelopments. The backlog that we have, if we were to fix, just keep 1,180 units into 1,100 instead of 10,000. It's close to $700 million. So we have to do this private-public partnerships. However,
I'm not disputing that. I'm more interested, I mean, we're working on the Mayor Wright project for
Yes.
many years, and
Yes.
that, was a really important TOD project,
Yes.
which somehow,
Yes.
never quite materialized.
Yes.
But I think one of the concerns I would have is that this particular developer has been in the middle of a number of other problematic housing issues in other locations. And so, it seems that HPHA would be really aware that maybe additional assistance needs to be provided, because in this particular instance, you're dealing with really long established, family networks. You have KKV right there, right next to KPT. It's kind of like we would know in advance that this is going to be a very, very difficult, set of relocations. So I don't know if HPHA has sought to obtain additional assistance for the development group, because this is not new.
yes, we have.
Okay.
And I'll update this body right after the board meeting on Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Senator Favela, followed by Richards.
Yeah, just, not as a preview to the development, just listening to the community, been there lifetime. They're doing swimming pools? Or the redevelopment, what are they doing over there?
There are no swimming pools at KPT.
Okay, so what is the purpose of the reconstruction for it? Because you just came in a little bit in the end. So is that for a revenue stream to go higher? What's he saying about the height?
No, just so you can increase density. This property is federal properties. So we choose them because of the subsidies that stay with the property. We also choose them because of the tenant protection voucher that the federal government gives to the people. So when they are displaced, they have place to go anywhere they want with that voucher. So we're doing it not, what we build in is still affordable housing. We're replacing one for one the existing housing. Let's say we demolish 60, we replace 60, then we add additional affordable housing. This is not it's all 60% EMI or less. Everything that's going to be built at the end of the day. So the 304 units, the first tower, for example, it's all 60% EMI or less. And anyone from the tenants who would like to return, they return at the renovated brand new unit, and they still only pay 30% of their income.
Sure.
Senator Richards.
Yeah, the woman I was gonna call up, I think she just took off, so if she comes back, I'll ask to speak to her.
Senator McKell.
Oh, yeah. AOP. Picked a heck of a day. Just so everybody knows, we know each other. He's a good brother, but this is business.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm looking at your testimony and I'm noticing other groups that are for affordable housing. Yes, in my backyard, Chamber of Commerce support the bill. You guys do not. Your testimony is based all on affordable housing. I looked at NAOP's mission statement. You're a commercial real estate development. So what is a commercial real estate development entity that is focused on commercial real estate doing testifying in opposition to affordable housing measure? This isn't your space, is it?
No, so thank you for the question, Senator. And just to clarify, so NIAP Hawaii is a commercial real estate development association, but we include, our members include developers that are in the affordable housing space, as well as many lenders in the affordable housing space. Majority of the major banks here in Hawaii are a part of our membership. So we do typically weigh in on affordable housing measures, and we just did want to provide the clarification in regards to how this may impact financing for affordable housing, because due to the right of first refusal being capped at the current a return of a current rate, existing rate and rent, that may impact a project's viability moving forward on the financing point, because it creates additional risk.
I think these entities should step out from behind you and be testifying here themselves, not NAOP, because it creates a very interesting picture for the public when a commercial real estate umbrella entity is testifying against what is obviously a needed thing, given the testimony. I especially point to Yes in My Backyard and to the Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii to show that this is about housing, affordable housing as such. So that's the reason why I wanted to ask these questions of you. But thank you.
No, thank
Chair.
you, Senator.
Appreciate it. Okay.
Senator Richards.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming back up.
Yes.
Did I understand correctly that you have moved?
No, I'm personally still a part of the phase 1 project.
Okay.
There's still well over 20 families there.
You're the one that has moved? Okay. All right. Actually, stay there because, by the way, thanks for coming in today. Really appreciate it. So you have moved.
Yes.
And the accommodations you've been moved to, are they equitable? Are they acceptable?
Actually, I moved out of the housing
Okay.
and I didn't get the Section 8 voucher.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually, if I can just say a little thing about it. I actually moved out because my children helped me get a place off the market. Because I have a heart condition and they know it was really stressing me out. I was admitted at Oregon when I went to go visit my son. And from there, he just said, you know, Mom, we'll just take you out of the housing itself and from Section 8, because even though you do Section 8, there's not too many units that accept Section 8. And we all know that in Hawaii. And there is a waiting list. You know, because before moving out, I did go to Seneca, TRO, with Michaels and did everything for moving into another housing and even the Section 8, you know. And so I did all that with them. And I'll be honest, I was one of those tenants who did owe. And I did have a balance, I'll be honest with that. And but I guess my children, seeing how stressed out I was, they just felt like just to take me out. So the only reason why I'm able to still afford is because of my children who helped. It's not because of me and my husband's income. No, I would either be living with family or basically living at the beach or somewhere homeless. Honestly, just being honestly. You know, because we wouldn't be able to afford the rent that my children are paying for us off the market.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I mean, you're here testifying because this isn't part of
Yes.
you because of the importance of what we're talking about here.
Yes, I'm here for a voice for everyone that it's still affected in Kuhio Park Terrace. Honestly, there is more than 13 families left at the property. You know, I think so. I'm not sure, but somebody was saying that it was 13 families left. No, it's more than 13 families. When you walk around and you knock on everybody's door
Yeah, we've gone door to
to
door.
update them with the meetings and what's going on, you know, because I know there's families who are also working, you know, and have young children, or especially the disabled and the elders. So we're here to be a voice. If it's just one or two, but we'll be here to voice our concerns for everyone.
Okay. Thank you. And for clarification, do you support or do you oppose?
We support this bill.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Members, any other questions? Okay.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our agenda today. Should we move directly into decision making?
Yeah. Okay, so we'll move into decision making. The recommendation on the first measure, House Bill 1097 HD1, is to pass with a defective effective date of July 1, 2050. Any discussion?
Chair.
Senator McKelvey.
Thank you. I'll support the recommendation with reservations. I feel more comfortable if it was a default 30 with special conditions. It could be moved to 14, but I think the way it is now, I have some concerns. So reservations for now.
So noted. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair passing with amendments, Chair votes aye.
Thank you. Vice Chair also votes aye. Senator McKelvey.
Reservation, please.
Senator Richards.
Aye.
Senator Awam.
Aye.
Measure is adopted.
Thank you very much.
And for the Committee on Housing, we'll make the same recommendation, but we'll defer decision-making until this afternoon, 1 p.m. in room 225.
Thank you.
For HB 1325, HD3 relating to housing, for the Committee on Housing, having conferred, the chair will recommend passing this measure with amendments, with technical non-substantive amendments for the purposes of clarity and consistency, further defective date, and also will take HHFDC's amendment to require projects to provide relocation assistance and the right of first refusal in the new project, as long as there's no requirement the unit be offered at the same rate as the prior unit. Additionally, the committee report will also note NIOP's concerns. Any questions or discussion? Or, well, I guess for the Committee on Housing, we'll make that recommendation. And I'll also note that for the Committee on Housing, we'll be deferring decision-making until this afternoon at 1 p.m. in room 225. Hand it over to the Committee.
Thank
on
you.
CPN.
CPN, same recommendations. Vice Chair, comment?
Could you specify whether you are taking up the amendments proposed by the advocates?
I think that's a complicated question. Do you have a specific amendment
sorry.
you're?
The one that the organization Medical Alert was testifying on.
In part. In part.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think specifically the right to return or first preference, but not the fund.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, passing with amendments, chair votes aye.
For the CPN members present, are there any voting with reservations or objections? Hearing none, measure is adopted.
Thank you very much. We're adjourned. So good morning and welcome to the Senate Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection. It's our 9:45 a.m. agenda on Tuesday, March 18th, 2025 in conference room 229. To hear HB 427 HD2 relating to biosecurity, I will yield to the lead chair on this, the chair of the Agriculture Committee.
Thank you, Chair, and aloha kako, and good morning. Mahalo for joining us for today's joint hearing with the Ag Environment Committee, Transportation, Culture and the Arts, and also Commerce and Consumer Protection Committee. It's Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. We're convened in room 229 and we're video conferencing, which includes the audio and video of remote participants that's being streamed live on YouTube. In the event that the hearing is cut short for any reason, the committees will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business, and a public notice will be posted on the Ledge's website. And because of our 90-minute time limit for hearings, there'll be a 2-minute time limit for all testifiers. We'll have a virtual countdown timer on the Zoom screen. And we have, as Chair mentioned, one item on today's agenda, HB 427 HD2, relating to biosecurity. Part 1 renames the Department of Ag to the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity, renames the Board of Ag to the Board of Agriculture and Biosecurity. Part 2, and establishes and appropriates funds for a Deputy Director of Biosecurity. Part 3 changes references to the Plant and Animal Declaration form to the Biosecurity form. Part 4 authorizes and specifies conditions under which the Department of Ag and Biosecurity may declare a biosecurity emergency, during which the department and the governor may take certain actions to prevent the establishment or spread of pests and prohibited or restricted organisms. And okay, so we'll start off testifiers with the Department of Ag.
Good morning, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. On behalf of the Department of Ag,
Thank you. Chelsea Arnott from the Hawai'i Invasive Species Council.
Aloha chairs, vice chairs, committee members, Chelsea Arnott on behalf of the Hawai'i Invasive Species Council. We stand on our written testimony and support. We did add a few comments and suggestions in there just to broaden the representatives of the Board of Agriculture with the addition of the term biosecurity, and also just say we appreciate this bill, and also in the last committee hearing not removing language that would move the Hawaiian invasive species count, not last bill, SB 1100, that would move the Hawaiian invasive species council to Department of Agriculture. And this bill does not have that language. So appreciate that. I'm available for any questions. Mahalo.
Thank you. Robert Hoff from DLNR.
Stand on our.
Thank you, Robert. Stephanie Easley from CGAP's Coordinating Group on Alien Pest Species.
Good morning, chairs, members of the committee, vice chairs. My name is Stephanie Easley with the Coordinating Group on Alien Pest Species, which is CGAPS. Purpose of our organization is to try to see gaps in Hawaii's biosecurity, and we see a couple in this bill that we submitted in our written testimony. I just wanted to highlight that we are hoping that the name change of the Department of Ag to Department of Ag and Biosecurity and the board to Ag and Biosecurity also has like a substantive change underneath it so that the department has more biosecurity expertise. We're asking that two members of that board of Ag and Biosecurity have biosecurity expertise, not adding new members, but just adding some new qualifications. Because, you know, if you look at the statute, the duties of the Department of Ag are to promote agriculture, make the land more productive, animal husbandry. There's really nothing in 2616 about biosecurity. And then the second thing I wanted to highlight is originally this bill had a quarantine authority, which would be like a biosecurity authority. If in one of your districts, like Little Red Fire Ant or whatever nightmare pest shows up, HDOAB could come and say, you can't move anything out of here. We're going to treat this and get it under control before it can spread. HDOA asked that be removed. They said it was duplicative of an authority they had in their administrative rules. The administrative rules only apply to locations that sell directly to the public. So this authority would be like if it was at a resort or apartment complex, they could do a quarantine. They don't have that authority in law or rule. So we're hoping that you'll put it back in the bill on page 42. And I'm here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Next is Brian Miyamoto from the Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Well, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committees, Brian Miyamoto here on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau will stand on this testimony in support.
Thank you, Brian. We had 10 in support, 1 opposed, and 3 comments. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure in person or online? Members, any questions? All right, Senator DeCoy.
Department of Ag.
So you know, under this biosecurity, you know, I noticed that we've had much challenges with invasive species. Would you say that DLNR has been cooperative in transferring those leases that were to address ranchers that have already been helping with the invasive species? In this case, the acceptance of those lands, because we're trying to address invasive species, and they have been great stewards. Have you guys looked at that option so that as we start to look towards funding this, that we use people that are already doing it versus asking for budget to do it for you guys?
Yeah, thank you, Senator. So, Jonathan Ho, Plant Quarantine Branch Manager. Not a super expert, I guess, as it relates to the transfer of lands, but the proper range land management is crucial for managing a host of issues, not to mention, you know, fire control and things like that. And my understanding is, you know, the department has been working with DLNR to transfer lands. I'm not sure as to the speed of the transfer. That's, I guess, outside of my kuleana, unfortunately. But I know that some have been done. My understanding is I think there have been some hiccups here and there, but I'm not necessarily sure as to, I guess, the scope at which that's occurring.
Thank you. Is DLNR here?
Members, I would note we have one more agenda in this hearing and we have a caucus at 10:30.
Thank you. So DLNR, what have you folks done? You know, you folks have been asking for funds for biosecurity when you guys have perfectly good leases that have been controlling your invasive species from Albizia to all these other fire ants and so forth. What's the holdup on the transfer with those leases when these guys have been great stewards of those lands?
Okay, thank you for that question, Senator. I am not actively involved in the transfer of lands. I'd be happy to have somebody from our department pick it back to you. I'm not sure I've seen where it intersects exactly with invasive species, but you bring up a great point, and we'll get in touch with you and give you an answer to that question.
Because I would hope that basically the albizia trees, fire ants and everything else that they have helped prevent it, as well as wildfire risk mitigations has been huge.
Certainly.
You know, in a time when we're struggling for budget here. So if you can get back to us, I think that would be super appreciative. Thank you, Chair.
Department Ag, please.
Senator Watt.
This in the committee report, it's asking, and I know we're swapping out, or we're looking at SB 1100 to swap into this, but both ask for $12.7 million for 44 full-time positions. The last time, is this an extension of the last time we did this, or is this 44?
My understanding is that these are the positions that were provided by the legislature through Act 231. It's the same 44 positions.
We had a problem with that. We weren't able to hire, right? Because people couldn't qualify. They didn't have the specific degree needed to get those positions. Has something been done about that?
So, so for the, I guess the specification as it relates to, or I guess the technical, minimum qualifications as it relates to the positions, at least for the plant quarantine inspector positions, we don't necessarily really have that challenge. Most of the positions are for line inspectors. The challenge is that the funding doesn't, so the funding for the positions doesn't pass September or June 30th. So getting people in a position where the funding doesn't pass that is a little bit of a challenge. Our line inspector positions statewide, with the exception of Maui and Kona, which we've had a hard time over the years getting in line inspectors, just the cost of living is pretty difficult. But the rest of the positions, for example, on Oahu, I have only a single position that's vacant. That position is because the person retired December. But most of the other positions, I'm able to get new recruits pretty quickly. We're not happy.
Plant inspectors, of the 44 positions, how many were filled the last time? I think it was like over 40, but
the 44, I think it's a handful.
Perhaps you could take that back and provide the committees with an updated report on the status of the 44?
Yeah, we can provide that for you. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, it's a good question.
Thanks.
Recess the meeting so we can do ours and then we can continue.
We're about to the end.
We're about done.
But we have a 10.
Yeah.
We're gonna vote, right?
Yeah, we're voting, yeah. Okay. All right. Let's just take a brief recess for decision making. Okay, reconvening, the chairs have conferred and we've come up with the following recommendations. Number one, we're going to replace all the contents in HB 427 HD2 and insert SB 1100 SD2 into HB 427. Number two, we're going to insert the following blank general fund appropriations. Blank appropriation for construction at the Halawa Animal Quarantine Station. A blank appropriation for construction at the Halawa Animal Industry Facility. And number three, we're going to adopt the language that's proposed by the Coordinating Group on Alien Pest Species, or CGAPS, to the House Committee on Agriculture and Food Systems during their hearing of SB 1100 SB2. Those are the recommendations. Any discussion? Yes.
Chair, I would like to make note of the testimony from Hawaii Invasive Species Council on on moving it back to the Department of Ag, as well as incorporating in your committee report that in order to help us prevent invasive species or address the situation, that DLNR focus on transferring those lands right away so that the Department of Ag can continue to work on long-term leases for these ranchers that have been doing a good job on stewardship, environmental issues, and the prevention and attack of invasive species as so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, just a quick discussion. Sure. I think we've seen an evolution of the concerns for biosecurity coming forth, and this is elevating the concern. I would ask maybe include in the report that though this is a step, we may need to elevate biosecurity to a higher level. And I'm talking like even a cabinet position. So just as a include in the report.
Include that in the committee report. All right. All right, so for AEN, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Senator.
Thank you. On passing with amendments, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator DeCoy.
Aye.
Senator Rhodes is excused. And Senator Awa.
Aye.
Chair, you have 4 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you, members.
Committee on Transportation, Culture and Arts, same recommendation. If there's no discussion, Vice Chair for the vote.
Thank you, Chair. The Committee on Transportation and Culture and the Arts, Chair's recommendation to pass HB 427, House Draft 2 with amendments. Senator Lee, Chair Lee.
Aye.
Vice Chair goes aye, Senator Elafante.
Aye.
Senator Kanuha.
Aye.
Senator DeCourt.
Aye.
Okay, measure is adopted, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
CPN members, same recommendation on the measure. Any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair passing with amendments, Chair votes aye.
Thank you. Of the CPN members present, any voting with reservations or objections? Hearing none, measure is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes the 9:45 agenda.
Good morning. Welcome to the Joint Committee on Education and Commerce and Consumer Protection. We have a hearing, one bill, House Bill 624 HD1 relating to school psychologists. Testimony list. Okay, sorry. To testify, Superintendent.
Aloha Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, Chair Ke'oho Kalohe, Vice Chair Fukunaga, and members of this committee. Roxanne Roquero testifying on behalf of the Department of Education. The department stands on its written testimony in support of this measure. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Christopher Fernandez.
Good morning, Chair Kidani. Good morning, Chair Ke'okolole, and members of the committees. My name is Christopher Fernandez. I'm here to stand on the Board of Psychology's testimony, supporting and offering comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. Leslie Bernat on Zoom. Is Leslie there?
Yeah, I'm here. Apologies, it's not letting me start my video. I'm trying to. There we go. Aloha, chairs and senators. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Leslie Bonnick. I am the current legislative chair for the Hawaii Association of School Psychologists. School psychology has only existed in Hawaii since 1999, despite being a field since 1897. About 100 years late to the party, we remain the last state in the union to not have credentialing for school psychologists. We also are the only mental health providers in the state to not have a credential, and this poses a serious consumer protection risk to the keiki of Hawaii. marriage and family therapists, licensed mental health counselors, social workers, clinical psychologists, etc., all have a pathway to credentialing, while school psychologists do not. This work group is the first step in the right direction towards getting the consumer protection that our keiki in our schools need. And I'm available for any questions, as I wrote the first draft of this bill in 2014. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leslie. Next to testify, Alec Morentik.
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. My name is Alec Morentik. I'm a school psychologist on the Big Island. I stand on my written testimony, and I just would like to underscore two key pieces of information. One, that credentialed school psychologists are explicitly named as eligible for reimbursement under school-based Medicaid claiming, which can provide extra funding support towards mental health initiatives for the DOE. Second, I noticed some testimonies stated that Texas is the only state that credentials school psychologists under their boards of psychology. And I just want to highlight that Louisiana, New Hampshire, Virginia, Ohio, and West Virginia also regulate specialist level school psychologists under their boards of psychology. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify on this measure? If not, members' questions. Okay, we'll recess. Reconvening the Joint Committee on Education and Commerce and Consumer Protection. On House Bill 624, the recommendation of the chair will be to pass with amendments defecting the date to July 1, 2050. Members' discussions. If not for the vote, chair votes aye.
For House Bill 624, House Draft 1, recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Hashimoto. Excuse Senator Kanuha.
Aye.
Senator DeCourt. Aye. 4 members voting aye, 1 excuse. Recommendations adopted.
CPN member, same recommendation. Any discussion? Senator McKelvey.
No, thank you for moving the bill. I just hope in the future that the Hawaii Psychological Association can be added as a member of the working group because of the experience and the licensure issues that have been risen. So, but thank you, Chair. I'll be voting.
So noted. Vice Chair for the vote. Chair votes aye.
Thank you. Of the CPN members present, are there any voting with reservations or objections? Hearing none, measure is adopted.
That concludes this hearing. Thank you.